No, Proctor's spirit possessed me and told me to lie to the court to save his wife.
I heard Paris found them dancing in the woods. I think the girls came up with this lie to save their name.
I really do think that Mary was telling the truth about the trials being pretense, mostly because Abigail has a very strong personality and intimidates most of the girls.
Of course she was lying. Did you not see her possess me during the trials? If it was just pretense, she couldn't have done that.
Yes, of course. Her spirit was taken over by the devil. And personally, I think it was all an act pulled by John Proctor to go against the court. I think they were bored and that it really had nothing to do with witches in the first place.
Of course, these are all good, righteous people, and I don't think any of them could ever be forced to sign the devil's book.
How could you possibly fake something like that? You could see the fear in their eyes.
I think the trials were fair because we needed to rid Salem of the devil.
Of course the trials were fair. Everyone accused had the chance to confess.
No, this is nonsense. The girls are polluting the minds of the court.
No, personally I think the trials were all rigged. Mostly because I think Danforth's pride got in the way of his judgment, and that most of the people shouldn't have been hanged in the first place, but he didn't want to stop it.
Of course they were fair. The men of the court are good and righteous men.
I don't think any of them lied because I'd been personally possessed by all those accused of witchcraft.
What do you mean lied? They were all witches.
What else could they have done? That was the only way they could save themselves.
No, I would have done the same thing. A lot of them had families and children to feed and look after, so they were just trying to save themselves.
None of them lie. I know that because most of them possessed me.
Yes, of course. How can someone who murdered children be innocent?
Of course she is. The devil can get to those who you least expect, you know.
That woman was the rock of this town. There's no way that she could have come back with the devil.
Which?
No. That woman practically raised me since birth. I know her. She's a good woman. She would never sign the devil's book.
That woman was crazy. I don't blame Giles for showing her, and the books she was reading were causing strange things to happen in Salem.
I think that she had a chance to confess. She didn't take it. It's not anyone else's fault but her own that she was hanged.
Well, you see, Giles was just caught up in the hysteria. He didn't really mean to do any harm to his wife. He was just doing what he thought was right for the town.
Which?
I don't think that Giles intentionally accused Martha, but I think he was just nervous about the books and caught up in the hysteria. No, how would we purify Salem without getting rid of all the witches?
There shouldn't have been any hangings in the first place. Danforth should have postponed them until they found out what was really going on.
Personally, I think that Danforth started to realize some point during the trials that the girls were fake and caught up in hysteria. But I think his pride got in the way of him stopping the hangings.
So, should he have stopped the hangings?
Yes, he should have stopped the hangings.
I believe that some of the people were misjudged and maybe should have had their hangings postponed, but most of them should have been hung.
He was a good man towards the beginning, but towards the end of the trials, I think Proctor kind of got to him and corrupted his mind.
In the beginning, I was confident in his abilities to help Salem, although towards the end, he started to neglect his obligations.
I don't think it was necessary for Harold to come. He was trying to do the right thing, but we didn't need his help here. There are no witches in Salem.
Towards the beginning, I think he was very arrogant and too caught up in his job to see that there were no witches in Salem. But towards the end, I think he finally started to see the light. He's such a coward. I can't believe he wanted Danforth to postpone the hangings.
I think Paris is a godly man who wanted the best for Salem and for Abigail.
I never really liked that man. I don't think he's fit to teach God's word here in Salem when his house is so full of corruptions.
I think he was a very cowardly man who was just trying to save Abigail's reputation as well as his own. And also, as a minister, I didn't like him that much either, so...
So, Paris has always been a really good role model for me and Betty up until the trials, and I think that when the trials started, he got really, he turned into a coward.
I had seen them sneaking around, but I didn't want to tell Goody Proctor because I know lechery is wrong.
Well, I saw them talking a few times, but he didn't seem to like her that much.
No comment.
I heard about that. I was disgusted to hear that Proctor would lust after a girl like Abigail. He doesn't seem like the type of man to commit a crime such as lechery.
I was honestly really shocked when Proctor confessed to having an affair. I couldn't see him as the kind of man who would cheat on Elizabeth. Well, to be in Proctor's shoes means I'd have to be a witch, which I'm not, so...
I think he did the right thing, and I admire him for sticking to his beliefs. However, I don't think I would be able to sacrifice myself knowing my family would suffer without me.
I would have followed in Proctor's footsteps. I think he did the right thing. I wouldn't want to give in to the corruption of the court either, so I totally support him in his decision.
Okay.
So that...
No, I'm filming.
Oh, okay.
Hi!
I know you're pretending.
I think they came up with this lie to save their name. Stop laughing.
If you were in Proctor's shoes, what would you have done?
I would have followed...
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's like mold on that tree. Okay, did I just jump?
You're gonna jump down?